Welcome to Integrated Math 2. My name is John Cooper, and I will be your teacher this term. Now, throughout this, you're going to see a few different questions that I'll pop up, and when you get these, every one you get correct, you will get an extra credit point. So here are the course units. So you won't be tested on this part of it, but to kind of give you an idea of what the class is going to be about. We are looking at combining both algebra and geometry. That is what's happening with integrated math. So we're going to be looking at a lot of both algebraic concepts and geometric concepts. From the algebraic concepts, the biggest thing will be on quadratics. So some of you may have seen them. These are things dealing with have x squared in them as part of their equation. That's the main thing that gets done in the algebra side. We'll still be reviewing a lot of the ideas you may have learned in integrated 1 or in Algebra 1. Then, from geometry, there's a lot of geometry, and we're really focused primarily on the idea of proof. So we're going to go over, justify answers, and work to show and be able to communicate how we know something is true, so that you'll be able to argue a point. And then we'll be doing a lot of trigonometry, particularly with right triangles. Now, for our assessments in the class, we have two main types of assessments. The first one is called a formative assessment, and what we use is what's called SIG test. Now, what a SIG test is you have your major objectives in the class. You will get multiple tries on an objective, and when you pass it off by getting a score of 4 on it twice, you get it signed off. That's why we call it SIG test. So you're going to have 3 opportunities in class, plus 1 additional try outside of class to master. Now, if you happen to be absent on the day of a SIG test, this is for SIG test, you may only make it up on the next school day before school starts. And basically, I want you there by 7 a.m. because you want to make sure you have enough time. After 7:30, you cannot take it. So it has to be before 7:30, but I would say coming in at 7 is the easiest way to guarantee it. You may take the test early if you know you're going to be absent, but if you miss it, you simply miss out on this opportunity. You get opportunities to be able to take the SIG test. You're not guaranteed. So make sure you do that. That will be one of our questions that I'm going to ask you. Summative assessments, well, these are our major exams. So we're going to have 3 different summative exams. So one will happen after the first quarter, we'll have a midterm, and then a 3-quarter exam. These ones you don't get multiple tries on. So they will be summative tests that will cover all the material we've had. We'll certainly have a practice test to get you ready for it. And then these topics we see, they're going to use a little bit more than just what the SIG test has. On these topics, you're going to be expected to explain, you're going to expect to be able to pull ideas together, but you will have some practice with doing these ideas. Then, these tests, what we're going to have happen is they're going to get progressively more challenging. Not progressively more challenging, but worth more. So they're not necessarily going to be harder, it's just that each test is going to be worth more. Like maybe the first test will be out of 100 points, and the midterm will be out of like 200 points. And then the 3-quarter exam might be out of 300 points. Now our final is separate altogether. It's worth 25% of your grade. So that one's going to be worth way more than the other ones. But this way, if you do mess up on earlier tests, it says, well, I just didn't realize I had to study for it, which you do, then you can try to make it up with the future test. SIG test, you get multiple opportunities. You know, that's the idea. You want to be able to show that you've learned the material. So the grades, this is the way we're going to break down a grade. SIG test, those are the formative tests. That counts for 35% of your grade. Your summative test is 20%. Our final is going to be 25%. All of our other assignments in class, this may include things like quizzes we do in class. We'll do things like participation quizzes when you're working with your teams. All those ideas, in-class assignments, outside of class assignments, all that counts for 15%. So primarily the assignments is about completing it, not so much about getting it necessarily right or wrong. Correctness is important, but it's not as critical as at least going and making a solid attempt. Final thing was employability, which counts for 5%. Now remember, a missed SIG test can only be made up at 7 a.m. on the next school day. Okay, so I gave this in class, but just in case you didn't have a phone or your parents would like to use this, you can also get reminders via Text 101 and Remind 101. And what happens is when there's something important coming up, like if I may have to remind people to come in to make up a SIG test, or there's an assignment, or I change something. Sometimes I might even change something. Hey, we're missing this thing, or I just posted the answers to the practice test. So I may send out a text to you. So if you enter that number 81010 and then type the message at coop-im2, you will be signed up with it. So you'll probably have to enter your name, other information, but you'll be signed up for Text 101. Anything from this class, I can send out quick reminders. Our grades, well, 90 to 100 is going to be an A. If you're curious about pluses and minuses, I break it at 93%. Anything above 93% becomes a solid A. 90 to 92, that range is going to be an A minus. Above 98%, I give an A plus. So that's pretty much always where each one of those go. Actually, you do get grades below a C. I used my form for calculus, but so if you fall between 60 and 69%, that would be a D. You really want to get at least a C in the class. So below 60% would not be passing, but I really want to kind of push you to try to get up to at least a 70% to be able to get at least a C. So getting help. Before school is the best time to get additional help. I will be in room 800 from 7 to 7:45. After school, my office is right across from room 800 in the College Career Center. You can check there, but it's not the best place for me to do any tutoring. So usually if it's after school, I'll be in room 804. That's Mr. Powers' room. I have my calculus class in that class also, so that's probably where I'll be hanging out if I'm available. Sometimes I have meetings, other things that will cause me not to be on campus. If you let me know ahead of time, I can let you know if I have a meeting or if I will be on campus or not. Okay, other stuff that's kind of critical, honor policy. This is really important. Copying homework, doing things such as cheating on a test, that's the worst part. Anything right here where you violate the honor policy can result in you losing 10% of your grade. It's a critical thing. We give you multiple opportunities on SIG test. This is probably the biggest place we've had students try to violate it. Since we give you multiple opportunities and I want you to succeed, if you cheat, I don't know what you don't know. And that's the reason why we want to make sure that you follow what you're supposed to do and demonstrate what your knowledge is in the class. That way I can assist you and your grade is authentic. Employability. Okay, so everybody's going to start with 50 points to begin the term. If you are tardy, for every minute that you are, if you're tardy, you're going to lose, you'll be 1 point for every 5 minutes you're late, with a minimum of 3 points. So if you come in between 0 and 5 right after the bell, then you're going to get 3 points off. That's pretty much what happens on the honor policy. You can make that up. You get 1 point per minute served by coming in after school. Go to room 804, or you can do it possibly during brunch, or coming in early, and you can make up those points if you did lose them. For bathroom, you could also, if you go to use the restroom, it costs you 2 points, and then you can make those up. But the best thing is not to use the bathroom. Try to go to the bathroom before class because it's first block, so you should not have to leave class. But I understand sometimes nature comes up. But if I don't have some kind of a policy regarding the bathroom, then some students will go every single day and they're just getting out of class. Cell phones, unless it's for a class activity that I specify, cell phones are not allowed during class. They need to be off. So that's really important because I will confiscate those. Those will get turned into the office, and that does result in you getting work option. Calculators. This is important. You cannot use your cell phone as a calculator. You do need a calculator for the class. The only cost, you can get a really good scientific calculator for $10. And it's worthwhile. I will have a few loaners in class, but you really want to have your own calculator. It needs to be a scientific calculator that has the trig, and that's really important. Food and Garbage says, I am sharing classrooms with other teachers. We need to be respectful of their environment. So I will let you know what the policy is for each of the individual classrooms that I'm attending. Fire drills, if it does come up, we pretty much move out from the classroom all the way out to Boyington Road. We line up as a class. I would like guys to line up alphabetically so I can take roll to verify everybody gets there. Usually it happens during the second block, but it could potentially happen during the first block as well. Okay, my extension for the school is 1024. So that's important just in case you ever need to contact me for any reason or your parents want to leave a message. Just call the school number, which is 652-7243, and then my extension is 1024. Okay, hopefully we will have a great year.